Look, first of all, thank you for coming down because
Cool.
we've been chatting about it for a while. But yeah, man. No, I'll be honest. If you would have told 13-year-old me that I'd be doing this with you, man, all these years later, like it's fucking sick, man. Yeah, I'm glad to have you down. Yeah, I think not a lot of DJs in the scene have sort of seen grime through the same perspective that you have. What do you think it is that has kept you sort of going all these years in grime? Because I mean, you know, certain other DJs, producers, MCs have sort of gone off to other genres. What is it that has kept you in grime?
The love of the music, I would say.
Yeah.
But sometimes that can change. Like, don't get me wrong, like, because the scene can go up and down.
Yeah.
There's been times when there's like the music can be a bit scarce. There's not a lot of tunes to play consistently. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But still, the love of the music. I'll always love the music. I love underground music, so it will never change.
Yeah. What were you listening to like before grime come about? What were you listening to?
I would say jungle, garage, hip hop, R&B,
Yeah,
stuff like that. Yeah, in the early 2000s.
Yeah, so I guess in a way grime was almost like the natural progression of like, do you know what I mean? Like a combination of those things, I guess. At what point would you say that you started to see that there was like a distinguishing line between the sort of like darker garage and like grime as a genre?
From 99 to 2000, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, around that time, yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot of like, I feel like there's a lot of debate between like, you know, like when did like grime like start, or do you know what I mean? Like what was like the first tune, or like, I mean, I asked Glamour this like a few weeks ago, like in your opinion, what was the first tune that like set grime apart?
I and a lot of people would say the first song that was maybe an established, known grime song that people would go to could be Eskimo.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that was the first grime song.
No.
Do you know what I mean? No, I wouldn't say that was the first grime song, because there was tunes before that. Like there was, as you said, there was dark garage songs that are grime, but it just wasn't labeled at that time.
Yeah.
So there's like people like Oris J and LB and like stuff like that. Like that Tubby would play early. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? So that stuff was very grimy, and it was a bit too grimy for garage, but it wasn't labeled as grime at the time. So there was tunes before it, but I'd say that song was for one of the first songs that got labelled as a grime track.
Yeah, and that was what, 2001, 2002?
Yeah, around about that time.
Yeah. When did you actually start DJing?
97.
97, okay. And what sort of stuff were you playing back then?
Jungle.
Jungle, yeah.
Jungle.
Were you like, when, like did you ever like get involved with like garage at all, or was it like...
Yeah, I definitely did. Like, as Jungle started to veer off and started to turn into drum and bass and get very heavy and dark, for my liking, I started to DJ garage. There was a DJ that was on Rinse called Saul S, and Bucky Ranks' younger brother. He just decided not to. He didn't want to DJ no more, and he gave me a load of his garage records.
Yeah.
So I started playing garage for a while, but I wasn't really too. Garage was a bit too light for me at first. It was a bit vocally. Yeah, I wasn't too sure at first. You know what I mean? Until I found my own lane of niche of playing the B-side stuff that I could find that I liked. So yeah, I did dibble dabble in garage, definitely 100%. And I was around when like people like Pay As You Go, and it was transcending from garage to grime. So that was a time where it was still garage a bit, but then it turned into grime as such. Yeah.
And would you say that like sort of like straight away were you like attracted to grime and the sound of it? Was that something that sort of like you gravitated towards?
Yeah, because I was already gravitating towards that sound with the darker garage stuff.
Yeah.
And then as it was happening, and we didn't even know it was happening, we was just transcending at the time, and then it got to a point where it got a label. So while it was transcending at the time, I was definitely like, I'm drawn towards it 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was Roll Deep the first crew that you was a DJ for? Or was there anyone else before?
Not a crew as such. The first person who MC'd for me on the radio was an MC called Dream. That was that was in Jungle Days on Rinse.
Yeah.
But we wasn't a crew. And then no, yeah, you could say Roll Deep was the first crew that I DJ'd in, but it was me and Flowdown had our own show on Rinse as well. But then again, we wasn't a crew. Do you know what I mean? It was just me and him. So yeah, no, not really. That was probably the first crew.
Like, were you doing sets with Flowdan, like that was like before the Roll Deep thing come along, yeah?
Yeah, I was, we was. This is before Flowdan then went off to become part of Pay As You Go.
Yeah.
And while he was still part of Pay As You Go, me and him still did our own show anyway. So he would do the show on a Sunday with Pay As You Go, and me and him would have a show on, I think it was a Thursday, 7 till 9, I think it was. So we would do that show together, and then obviously once Pay As You Go split up and went their own ways, we carried on doing that, and then when Roll Deep formed, it just made sense that we went together.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, how many years would you say that like Roll Deep as a whole were like actively like performing sets and that kind of thing?
As a collective?
Yeah, as a collective.
About 12 years, 10, 12 years? Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the thing. See, the whole like Roll Deep era, like that was pretty much my, even though I got into grime a lot later, that was like my entry point. So like going back to what I was saying, like when I was like, I don't know, like 12, 13 years old, and I started like I as far as I can remember, the first ever like grime artist that I heard of was Dizzy Rascal. And then from there, I started like essentially like looking back and seeing like what he'd done before. And that is how I sort of caught on to like Roll Deep and that type of era. And like, I mean, it's interesting to me how like what Roll Deep and all the crews of that era were doing. Obviously that's paved the way for like 20 years later, what some people are making millions off of. At the time, did you realise like what you was doing and how important that was?
Definitely not. I would say, I can't speak for anyone else, but me, myself, and at the time I think what we was doing, obviously we had a plan and a goal that you would want to achieve, definitely, 100%. Everyone makes music for a purpose for everyone to like your music. Do you know what I mean? Like you want your music to be out there so it can be heard by everybody, and if it gets sold and if a lot of people like it and buy it, that's a bonus. Do you know what I mean? But we didn't like say, okay, we're gonna make this album and it's gonna go here and it's gonna do this and we're gonna make this new sound of genre. But at the time while we was doing it, as I said, we did have a goal, but we didn't vision. There was no vision. Do you know what I mean? Of where it could be 20 years time. Yes, we did think, once it had a label, this could be like a version of like hip hop in the UK, but it wasn't like, we want to be like on the TV with all chains and everything 20 years later. That was never a vision. No, definitely not for me anyway.
I think like the whole like longevity in the scene thing, it's like it's an interesting thing because like to sort of still be doing what you're doing like after, I mean, you know, like from, as you said, you've been doing this since like 1997. You have to have a real passion for it. Do you know what I mean? Like you said, it's not like you're doing it for to be on TV with the chains. It's not. Do you know what I mean? Like you would you say that like you've always been just a lover of music, or was it when stuff like Jungle come along, did that sort of like turn your head as like, oh, okay?
When Jungle came along, like at first I remember just being in school and one of my friends showed me a tape. And it was Jungle. I was like, what is this music? I never heard it before. Like, what is going on? Like, do you know what I mean? And then he showed it to me, and funny enough, it was a tape of Wiley, Target, and like Caspit and Breeze on Rinse 918 back in then. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, what is this? He says, Pirate Radio. What is this? I don't know what it is. Do you know what I mean? So that was my intro to jungle music via Pirate Radio. Yeah. So then once I clocked onto where it was and what was going on, and it was an MC and a DJ and stuff like that, I remember I used to just get my pocket money and go up to West End to Black Market Records and just buy as many records as I could. Yeah. And then just find somewhere where there was decks and just practice. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So that was the first ever part of it for me, really. And then, that was probably it, really, I would say.
Yeah, see, I think like it's almost like when, you know, like I've had other people on the show that I've spoke to who have said like similar thing about like, you know, like when they were a lot younger and saving up pocket money for records and that kind of thing. I think it's almost like back then, because it was so much like less accessible than it is now. Like if you like a genre in this day and age, you just pay £10 a month on Spotify and you've got millions of, do you know what I mean? Like you don't have to like save up money so you can go and buy them 1 or 2 records and then, you know, it's I think that is part of the reason why, and like I don't know, like maybe you'll be able to like tell me different or whatever, but like part of the reason why like grime was allowed to be born, because in the sense of like all the people that helped forge it, it was like they had a real passion for something, you know, like people like Slimzy, for example. Like, do you know what I mean? Like the early pioneers who were willing to spend the money to, like you said, go and look for some decks just so you could practice. Like nowadays, you can download Serato on your laptop. You know, it's like
on your phone.
I don't know. It's an like how do you feel about like? Because this is an interesting one. I always ask DJs this, but like, how do you feel about like moving into the digital age, stepping away from vinyl, that kind of thing?
I'd say for mobility purposes, it's much better. My back used to be in bits. I used to carry my records everywhere. People used to say to me, every time I see you, you got a rucksack on. So always carrying my records everywhere I used to go. But at the same time, like I like buying records. Do you know what I mean? I used to I like physical things. You know what I mean? Like, so going out and buying that record and being able to touch it and it's there, I can see it, and do you know what I mean? I like to look after it. And whereas now I can just buy the song and it's on my phone or it's on my USB, and you can have it and you can give it to me, but I can't really give you that record. It's my record. Do you know what I mean? So that was, I would say, the difference in that aspect. But it's good. You need to move on with the times, and however things are, do you know what I mean? You have to adapt and just keep evolving with what's going on. But in that aspect, I would say as well, like in the vinyl era, the sound, the analog sound, it was a lot different. It was a lot heavier. But now with the digital sound, it's, as you said, as I'm saying, it's digital. So there's pros and cons. I mean, this is where it is. I still like mixing with Technique decks. Do you know what I mean? So, and then obviously you got Pioneers and you got controllers now and you got everything else. And do you know what I mean? You just have to learn how to use everything. You can't pigeonhole yourself to one thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that's important, because it's like, as much as, I mean, you get the people who like don't know how to beat match by ear, and like, you know, they'll just load a tune, click the sync button, click play, and then they're DJing. But like, all of a sudden, if they've got a mix somewhere and they ain't got access to that sync button,
they're in trouble.
Yeah, definitely. You know, and even like, I mean, I remember like years ago, I was on Mode and we was mixing on the CDJs, but the literally halfway through the set, the jog wheel stopped working, so you couldn't nudge the track. So straight away, I just thought, well, if I was on Techniques, I'd just pitch slide, just, you know, and so straight away I was like, oh, it's cool, I can still, you know. And I think going back to what you said, like, it's important to know like how to use everything, so that definitely, whatever you, do you know what I mean, whatever you come across. But like, I don't know, I think similar to what you said, like there's something about mixing on 1210s where it's just like, it's just a different type of feeling, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know, like, I mean, and anyone who mixes vinyl will be able to tell you, there's just something like when you lock in a vinyl mix, it's like, you know,
you can feel the difference. But it is where it is, because that was that day and age. And before that, it was something different. Before that, it was one vinyl. Do you know what I mean? And you had to deal with it that way, with reverb and sound effects and bringing another song another way. But then it got to 2 decks and 1 mixer, and now it's 1 controller or 1 computer. But it's still the same thing with now. It's like you've got Serato and you've got Record Box. You know what I mean? So we've turned up certain places. DJs can only use Record Box. Do you know what I mean? Or they can only use Serato. So that's the same thing. You need to be able to use everything. Do you know what I mean? Don't pigeonhole yourself to one program or one platform.
Yeah, 100%. No, that's definitely that's good advice, I'd say, to anyone really, is just know, like, and even knowing how like how a mixer works, and how, like, you know, if a channel fader snaps and you've got to move the CDJ to channel 3. Even, you know, like, some people wouldn't, they'll be looking around like, whereas, you know, it's little things like that, they go a long way. That's why I always say there's a lot more to DJing than just mixing tunes.
Definitely, 100%.
There's so much to it, man. But 100%. Like, yeah, man. I wanted to talk about, actually, so the work you've been doing over the last couple of years with the Igloo. Like, how did that come about?
Well, we had a studio where we was working in, and we was putting out a few things. Wiley recorded his last album, Anti-Systemic, and also Cadell recorded 2 albums and a mixtape. So once we finished doing that, we had a bit of spare time on our hands. It was lockdown. No one was allowed to do anything really, and we was just in the studio, and we couldn't go and really do what we would normally be doing. Do you know what I mean? Like, go and do sets or go and perform out live and doing stuff. So we just thought we might as well just, I don't know, like, it was another thing at the time as well, is there was a lot of, I want to say this, there was a lot of fake Wiley Recordings accounts at the time, yeah? There was loads of them. I think altogether, when we checked it out, I think there was like 80, I think, I might be wrong, but I think there was about 80 fake accounts one time. And then so we just kept saying, what can we do to differentiate ourselves from those fake accounts? So we just said, you know what? Let's just go live. Let's just go live.
Yeah.
These other accounts can't go live. Do you know what I mean? Let's just go live. So a few times we went live in the studio, just recording a few things we was doing. And then we did a few sets going live. And then the response that it got straight away, we just said, okay, well, this could become something if we, do you know what I mean? If we generate the energy in the right directions and did it the right way, we could make it something. And then slowly but surely, we just built it into something what it became.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I think the thing that like sort of like attracted me towards it immediately was like, I saw that the live streams were starting to happen, and I was thinking, oh, sick, you know, and it was sort of like, I was thinking, who is going to be on these sets, basically, because of the people that were running it. I was thinking like the connections that you have within the grime scene, the connections that Wiley has within the grime scene, like, this is sick. And then like, I was like, hang on a minute, like, this is mainly like new generation, you know. I was looking, I was like, oh, there's Charisma, oh, there's Bang GK, there's people that I'm doing sets with, and it was like, I don't know. I think that there's a lot of talk in the grime scene about like gatekeepers. Do you know what I mean? Like people who built something back in the day and are trying to like keep it as theirs, as their thing, and not really showing the love that they should to the newer generation. But immediately I was like, this is sick. This is a big platform, and there's opportunities for I was thinking like people like me, you know, people who are like working their way through the scene and trying to, you know, and I mean, I remember like the first time that I come down to the Igloo, after I did the set, like my Instagram, there was loads of people following me up and stuff. and I was thinking, this is sick, because like, all I did was what I'm doing on radio every other week. Yeah. But like, it's such a bigger audience that it's now opening all them people up who are fans of, you know, like Wiley and co. Is saying, yeah, but look at what these people are doing. Like, was that always what you was going for?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. That was part of the plan, to give the platforms for up-and-coming people to showcase themselves, 100%, not just about us, do you know what I mean? Because we've been here for a minute, and we can't always be here. Yeah. That is the main truth. We can't always be here. So there needs to be a bridge and a platform for the next people to come through and be able to showcase themselves. And if we have that space to do that, 100%, we will do that, 100%, because with us, grime can't die. And as long as any of us are going to be around, we're not going to let grime die in that sense. Yeah. So if we have got that space for people to come through and showcase themselves, do it 100%, because that is how the new talent is found. Yeah. Then, you know what I mean? So there is times and errors where you've had Rinse, and then you've had Radar, and then you've had Mode, and you know what I mean? And then you've had other stations, but we was trying to use it like that, where it was just spontaneous. So like spontaneous FM. You don't know who's going to be in here today. Do you know what I mean? And then but at the same time, it could be someone like D-Double, or as you said, it could be someone like yourself or Charisma or someone else. So it was just that, giving that platform for people to be able to showcase themselves. It doesn't matter who you are. Yeah, whether you was here 20 years ago or whether you was here 5 minutes. Do you know what I mean?
And that is really how it felt, because it was like you could be like watching a set, and then, you know, there might be someone who I'd only heard of like a few weeks previous, and then all of a sudden they're passing the mic to like Rico. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And it was like I said, like I've always been a big fan of all like the old school stuff and the people who were there from the start. And it was almost like, this is sick, because it's just a blend of like everything that is grime. Yeah. You know? Like, yeah, yeah, man, it was really cool. And like you said, the whole like spontaneous thing of like, it wasn't like, oh, this is gonna be the lineup on Saturday, this is gonna be the lineup on Sunday. It was just, you get a notification, Wiley Recordings has gone live, and it's like, oh shit. I'm clicking, you know, and then oh, who's that? Oh, who's that stood at the back? Like, yeah.
It's kind of like how radio was back in the day, but obviously now we're in a different day and age, and a different era, where you'll be looking at your phone and looking at everyone who's in there and watching it. Whereas back in the day of the radio, you just had your radio, tune in, find a radio station, and you just listen and visualize what the person might look like, because you know what I mean, or what the studio might look like. But it's different now, so we can have a camera and have something to set up so the audio's good and, you know what I mean, perfect coming through. So you can look at it and think, you know what, I want to come there and I want to be a part of this and I want to showcase myself via the camera so people can watch me. Do you know what I mean? So that was definitely a main purpose of what we was trying to do.
Yeah. Well, that's similar to something that when I had Glamour on the other week, he was saying, like, back in the day when you was doing pirate radio, like, you might get a call like, oh, do you want to come to a set in a couple of hours, or, you know, tomorrow or whatever, but it wasn't like you could just go on Twitter and say, I'm going to be on radio tomorrow. It was just, you just go there and people would just lock in and just have a little listen, see what's going on. And it was, although there was the video element to what was going on at the Igloo, it was almost a similar sort of thing. Like, who's going to, you know, you never really know who's going to be there until you're locking in, which, yeah, man, it was sick. It was very sick.
Good thing about the Instagram thing that we was trying to do, or we was doing, is that obviously we could upload the sets after.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But back in the day with radio, if you didn't hear it at that point, or someone didn't tape it, or you knew, that moment's gone.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Or you just heard about it, it was a myth, it was a legend of that one time. So that is good about today, that you can re-upload it, and then someone who maybe didn't see it can go on their phone the next day and be like, oh yeah, I didn't see that, and then just, I mean, sit down and watch it.
Yeah, that's something that I love, because I mean, it's like now there's people who have, like, you know, ripped to MP3 from the old like tapes or whatever that they'd recorded of radio sets. So like in this day and age, if you want, you can go and listen to a 2005 Roll Deep set or whatever. But, like, I mean, it's part of the reason why I started doing this, was because I was thinking, like, it's all well and good doing live stuff, but, like, if you find a way to, like, put it there on the internet forever, then, you know, who's to say that in years to come, that, you know, there could be people in 2025 sat listening to this conversation, you know, and it's like, I mean, there's like NAT a couple of years ago. It was when I was recording, it was filming some of my sets on Mode, and, like, he said to me, like, the stuff you're putting on YouTube in 10, 20 years time, people might be looking back on this.
They will be.
The same, you know, the same way that I look back on sets from 10, 20 years ago. And it was, yeah, man, it's an exciting thought, and it's an exciting thought to, like, that, yeah, like, we're part of it, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's good to document stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, again, like, Risky Roads and Practice Hours and other, like, DVD outlets back then, Lord on the Mics as well, documented things when, again, didn't really know what we was doing.
Yeah.
Maybe they did when they was on the other side of the camera, but we was just doing what we was doing, and then obviously they documented it, and then, as you said, like, all these years later, they're not viral clips, but, like, they would have been viral if it was today.
Yeah.
But, you know what I mean? They're, like, legendary clips and, like, moments in the scene. So it's good that those moments got caught, because there was loads of other moments like that, but they just never got caught on camera.
Yeah.
Or they might just be on a tape set. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's an interesting one, because I think in a way, like, part of what, like grime is a very, like, nostalgic genre, as in you don't get me wrong, there's some people that don't, but a lot of people have some sort of love or respect for, like, where it come from, you know? And, like, I think part of the reason why that is because when you look back on, like, the old, like, Deja Roof, you know, like, clips, you know, like Conflict DVD, whatever, no one's doing it thinking they're gonna become a millionaire or they're gonna go viral, or they're not even really aware that anyone's even gonna care about the DVD. It's just they're just doing what they love because they love it, and it's like that passion really translates through. Whereas nowadays, I must admit, like, there's a lot of talent, but I'm sure there's also a lot of people who are just filming themselves thinking, oh, if I do this, like, lemon pepper freestyle and get a million views, then that's gonna be my ticket. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, in a way, I think it's almost like, in this day and age, you've got to you've got to look harder to see who actually wants it and who's actually, you know, and I think that is something that Igloo did very well, in the sense that everyone that I was seeing on the sets, whether it's MCs, the DJs, whatever, I was thinking, yeah, all these people are the people who are, like, putting the work in, you know? Yeah,
that's things, like, we don't really want to, like, push anyone to one side and say they're not working as hard as anyone else and whatever, but sometimes it is a bit, you can see the people that are at the forefront trying to work hard and maybe don't get opportunity in other places, you know what I mean? So that was another thing we was trying to do, is give that platform for the people that are working hard and maybe don't get the light shone on them as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. I mean, like, what would you say if I said to you, like, how can I ensure that I'll still be here in 20 years?
Okay. Know what you're good at yourself and focus on that a lot, but at the same time, know what's going on around you. Do you know what I mean? So at the same time, be involved in what's going on around you, and not always what's popping or what's popular or whatever, but just find whatever lanes and niches that work for you. But if within your own craft, within yourself, master it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. However your style of mixing or your style of producing or whatever it is, master your craft and then keep working at it, because eventually it will just take one day where one person who you didn't even know heard it could hear it, and that could push you in a different direction on a different platform to go somewhere else. So not like go somewhere else, but take you to a different level of where you was already at. Do you know what I mean? So just, work at your craft. Always be open-minded to things. You know what I mean? Like, don't just always be open-minded to opportunities that might come your way. Some opportunities might come your way. Someone might not want to pay you. It might not be for no work at the time. You know what I mean? I mean, for no money at the time. So just always be ready for opportunities as well. You know what I mean? Like, stay on your toes. And just keep at it. One thing I can say is keep at it, because it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
That's definitely one thing I can say. Just keep at it, and just the struggles can make you stronger, will make you stronger, and you'll get to the next level. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I think what you said about like it not happening overnight, that is definitely like a thing that I think in this day and age where it probably is partly to do with the whole social media thing, but like depending on, like what you're posting or whatever, you can make it look like you did get something overnight. Do you know what I mean? You can go on someone's Instagram account and you can be like, oh look, they got 2 million views and it's only their second single or whatever. But like, I think it's I think it probably attracts a lot of people who, going back to what we were saying, like back in the day, wouldn't have been spending the money on the vinyl or looking for someone's Dexter. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's almost, but I don't know. I think in the long run, like the real ones who have the passion for it and are in it for the right reason, ultimately, I think they ultimately stick around for the longest. Yeah. The cream will rise to the top, definitely, 100%. So as you were saying, like I hate saying like back in the day and things like that, but like from the era of then to now, in radio then you only had like certain ways of getting heard. Now you can, not even just being a DJ or an MC or even a producer as such, you can make your beat, leave the studio, upload the beat onto whatever platform you want, upload it to YouTube, and everything all in the same day. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You could even, like, if you're an MC and producer, you can make that beat, you can vocal it, you can mix it down, you can upload it, and it can be all out there within one day. You could never do that back in the day. No. Do you know what I mean? So in that aspect, it's good. If you have got the talent, do you know what I mean? Yes. Because it will show. But if you haven't got the talent and you're just putting out loads of things, then it doesn't really, you won't last as long. Do you know what I mean? You won't, because sooner or later, the talent will show, which might not have as much product as you, but it will show because you've got too much stuff. It's not at the same talent, at the level as that talent. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, going back to when you said, what did you say? Sort of like 10-ish years that Roll Deep as a collective were, when that sort of like, I don't want to say like disbanded or whatever, but like when Roll Deep as a collective were no longer doing things, like what was your next step then? I carried on doing radio. I still had my show on Rinse. I still used to do the 9 to 11 at that point. And then at a point, got to a point where Rinse went a different way with all the grime stuff. So we all come off the radio. So I wasn't on the radio for a while. And then me and Rico had a podcast on NTS called Verbal Volley. Yeah. A football podcast where we would talk and just play music in between. Do you know what I mean? And we'd do a few sets there and then. And then for a little while, I'd say maybe 9 months, I wasn't really DJing as much. Yeah. I'd still be doing stuff with Wiley, Flowdown, do you know what I mean? And Rico as well. Maybe Mango sometimes. We'd still go out, do PAs and do sets live, but wasn't really doing as much radio sets. Yeah. And then, I don't know, just maybe about 2015, 16 was when I started doing radio again. Yeah. Such. And then from there, just carried on still. Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, the thing is, like, obviously, for a lot of years, Roll Deep were at the forefront of the scene. Do you know what I mean? Like it was just like in my, like I said, I wasn't in, you know, like the early mid 2000s, whatever. I wasn't a fan of grime back then, but looking back and seeing, you know, like what people are still talking about today and what people have bothered enough to, you know, like I said, rip the tapes to MP3 and upload them or whatever. Like Roll Deep were one of, if not the most important crews or whatever. I feel like a lot of people who, when that, as we said, like not come to an end, but you stop doing as much stuff together and, you know, you've got a podcast with Rico and that kind of thing, like, was it at all sort of like disheartening that era had come to an end, or was it just like, cool, on to the next thing?
I wouldn't say no, it wasn't just cool, on to the next thing, and it wasn't disheartening as well, but it was something that we'd done for years. Do you know what I mean? In a certain aspect, I would say I wouldn't say we didn't know any different, but it was what we did. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, me and Scratchy had been sharing hotel rooms for like 10, 12 years. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like every other weekend or every 2-3 weeks or once a month. Do you know what I mean? So things like that just change, and things, you know what I mean? And you stop seeing people as frequently as you would see them all the time. Still talk on the phone, still have the same banner, still got WhatsApp groups and whatever, same laughs and jokes and everything. But as a collective, just being together as a collective, getting everyone in a room together, everyone's older, everyone's got children, do you know what I mean? Things change in life. So it just got harder to just keep doing that. But it wasn't a disheartened thing, but it was just a thing of, okay, now we know we have to take the next step individually, all of us. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, that's the thing. See, I think it's like, that's probably a side to it that not a lot of people really like think about or consider, that like you had this sick time, but then obviously like, as they say, like all good things must come to an end. Yeah, you know, and yeah, I don't know. I think again that is another like another sign where I think it's obvious that like yourself and, you know, like everyone else who's still doing it today, you obviously had a real passion for it, because I think a lot of people, it would be like, oh, it's over now, let's just go and, do you know what I mean, just go on to whatever. But it's like, I don't know, I think it's sick that like in 2021 going into 2022, like you know, yourself, Wiley, like everyone else at the Igloo that's doing their thing, you're still like, how can we keep it moving, how can we keep pushing it, definitely. You know?
Do you know what it is as well? It's because we've come from an era of pirate radio, so we was doing it before Roll Deep, do you know what I mean, individually, all of us, but then obviously come together as a collective, do the music where we've got signed albums and all stuff and singles and number one hits and all that stuff. But then obviously at the same time, when we was doing all of that and we was doing number one hits, I was still doing my grime show on Rinse FM. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So definitely. I would always do this. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't make no difference. So obviously when it finished, I would still carry on doing that. But it's just it was maybe just adjusting my head back into what was going on, and then coming back into this new fully digital era. Yeah. And everything's MP3 now. Do you know what I mean? And now I have to get my head up to everything and get my tune game up to speed. Yeah. With everything else that's going on. Do you know what I mean? So it just took a bit of time in my head to adjust with everything that was going on. But I would always be on the radio and always want to be mixing, definitely, whatever the music is. Yeah, that's sick. I think that's another like important thing, what you said, like as much as the whole thing is going on with the collective, still having your solo thing, which is yours. Do you know what I mean? Like I think it's important not to get, because that's the thing, like I'd say that, you know, like definitely not you, and probably definitely not like no one just almost like got like lost within Roll Deep, as in like everyone still had, do you know what I mean? You could still say like, yeah, that person does that with that collective, and then on their own they're doing that as well, you know, which is sick. And I think of another very important thing, man. Going forward then, like what do you think is the next step in terms of like, not necessarily like progressing grime or whatever, but like is there any sort of like new venture or anything that like interests or excites you within music, within grime? Well, we're trying to fully kick off a thing where we're gonna have an Igloo World. So we're gonna have we've obviously like we've got the Igloo here, and then as it's going on now, there's one being built in Iron Apple. Wow. There's one being built in New York as well. New York. As well. So once we get all of these things in place, we can have a grand, I don't want to say like there is a thing called grand network, but there can be a grand network around the world.
Yes.
Where it can be showcased all the time at like how we was doing it in the Igloo. Do you know what I mean? So you can have people in New York doing what they're doing, or Sao Paulo in Brazil, or everyone who might be in Ainapra in the summertime.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So what that is a next venture of what we're trying to move on to next, I would say. For the next maybe 10, 15, 20 years, because we are in this digital era now where everyone wants to watch everything now. Do you know what I mean? So and our children can be the next DJs and MCs and producers or managers, or I don't know what they might want to be.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think it is important to think like long term, where is this all going? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. It's easy to just think like, what's my next booking gonna be, or what am I gonna play on my next radio set, or you know, even like what, you know, this time next year, where do I want to be? But like you said, like thinking of where do we potentially want to be in 10 or 20 years? Like, yeah, that's really exciting, man. And like, yeah, I mean, taking the Igloo to different parts of the world, that's another really exciting thing. I mean, like me and Maxwell, we was having a chat about how like grime is so universal. And like when I first started listening to it, I almost like couldn't even really comprehend like how it would travel even much further than London, because I thought, well, it's born from that culture. And like, you know, nowadays you've got like Brazil, Australia, like America and Canada. Like, do you know what I mean? It's almost, but it's like grime is almost this sort of like universal language where like if you're the sort of person who gets it, it doesn't matter what language you speak or what background you're from, it's like you can just appreciate it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Like I remember one time on our travels, I can't remember who said this to me, but someone was saying like grime is like our generation's punk music.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So like there can be grime in Sao Paulo and here and there and wherever, but it's just a tempo. Do you know what I mean? It's just a tempo. So as long as that person feels that tempo and they've got some sort of feeling inside of them and they want that to come out of them, and it's coming out of them via lyrics or DJing or producing, and it is at that tempo, it's good. It's very good. Do you know what I mean? Because it can be seen and showcased now from around the world, and it can be in all these different pockets, whereas maybe before there might have not, like, do you know what I mean? There could have been people in Brazil spitting on garage like Creed, or in their own way, do you know what I mean? But we would never know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We would never know about that little pocket in Brazil that's doing that. But now there is someone and things to showcase that. So, which is good, because as you said, grime is very universal, and we had the global grime people down at the Igloo as well.
Yes.
And we've done a set with people from all different countries. I wouldn't be able to name all of them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's people from Brazil, France, Belgium, Japan, everywhere, and that was a big eye opener for me. It just showed me as well that there is this generation of kids, not really kids, but people coming up around the world who have seen what we did, all of us, and it has transcended around the whole world. You know what I mean? And not just in London, as you said.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, like in London, you had crews in north, south, east, and west, and everyone obviously liked their own crews in their own corner. But then you had people in Manchester. Yeah. You had people in Bedford as well. Do you know what I mean? There was people everywhere. Like you had a Macabre unit in Bedford. Do you know what I mean? You had is it Mark 1? Mark 1 from Manchester. But there was, you know what I mean? There was Virus Syndicate. Was it Virus Syndicate?
Oh, right, yeah.
I think Virus Syndicate, yeah. But they was from up north, do you know what I mean? And they had their own sound and their own thing. But straight away, we would not know about them until we went up to Manchester. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's the pros and the cons and the good and the bad, but grime did transcend London, which is very good. It is very good.
Yeah, massively. And I think, like, I don't know, it's almost like, it sounds like cringy, but like it was almost like it was just destined to, because like it is more than just a sound, you know? Like,
it's a culture, it's a lifestyle.
100%.
It is. It's like it's what we did as children, and like not children, teenagers, but like we didn't know what we was doing, as I said earlier. But like I would go radio because I was bored. Do you know what I mean? Like I didn't really have nothing else to do on the ends at that time. Like and And there was a free radio slot. You know what? I'm just gonna go radio. Do you know what I mean? And then the man then would hear it and just come up there. Whereas now, you know what? I'm dying to go radio. I'm dying to go radio. I'm dying to go radio. But then it was just, I'm just gonna do that. And then at the same time, when it did come down to people documenting it and things like that, like we would just have on night tracksuits because that's what we just wore. Do you know what I mean? Right in the hood, just chilling every day. But then where it's all been documented, and then Air Maxes and TNs and things like that, that's become the culture with the music. Do you know what I mean? Because music and fashion go together. Yeah. So it has become what we did and what we wore is what people see the scene as. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's a culture. It definitely is a culture because people want to live it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Definitely, 100%. Yeah, 100%. I think it's like I don't know. Like, I don't know if you get this, but like I've heard tracks like grime tracks from, you know, like Japan, Brazil, them, you know, like non-English grime tracks, and like I'm thinking I can't understand a word of what they're saying, but I can hear like, do you know what I mean? It's a feeling. It's more. It's not like the words really. Like, obviously, you know, like you can't just spit about nonsense. You know, part of it is what you're saying. You know, but a lot of it is also how you're saying it, how you're delivering it, and just the feeling and the emotion that you're like, like conveying with it. So I've been in some just random countries, just doing bookings maybe with Wiley or Flowdown, and then you can just walk past the room 2. Someone's just squeezing in there, but you ain't got a word, you ain't got a clue of what they're saying. Do you know what I mean? But they are going ham in that room on that tune. Do you know what I mean? Or I remember me and Flowdown was in India, and there was 2 MCs who came on after us who was shelling it down. Yeah. But we didn't understand a word they were saying. No. But they was fucking it. Sorry. They was fucking it up. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? They was fucking it up. Yeah. And they said to us after, we've watched all your videos and how you use MC and whatever, and we like the culture. And that's what it was. Yeah. I mean, like a few years ago when Oblig did that set with a couple of the Brazil Grime show guys. Yeah. And like I remember watching that, and like there's a like it's when one of the Brazilian MCs gets a reload, and I was thinking everyone in that room is going mad. No one understands what he just said. Yeah, do you know what I mean? And I was thinking sick. Like it's not because it was. I must admit, I was thinking like, is it weird that I'm like getting gassed and I can't even understand? But I was like, no, wait, like everyone gets it. Like everyone's like, I don't know what he said, but. It was going in. Yeah, 100%, man. Energy. 100%. You can feel the energy of what he's trying to tell you. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That's all it is. And it's the music that brings that out of him. Yeah. You know 100%. Or that person, boy or girl. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It doesn't matter. So it's the energy that comes out of that person. Yeah, definitely, man. Look, it's been very, very good to talk to you, man. We're getting close to that time. I feel like we've still got a lot more to talk about, man. I hope we can do this again sometime soon. 100%. Look, is there anything that you want to shout out at the minute? Anything you're working on? Anything coming soon? Don't want to give away too much, but just well, we're going to get any little sneak peeks for any Citrus Show exclusives. No. But just as I said, look out for the Igloo World that we're going to be putting out soon. If you're away as well in the summer, if you might be in Iron Apple or any places like that, look out for the Igloo over there. If you're away in any like places like New York, and just look out for any live streams we've got coming via Karnage FM as well. That's a little platform that we're trying to build as well. So not little, but a platform we're trying to build as well. So just those 2 things mainly, I would say, going forward in the future. So yeah, the Igloo World and the Karnage FM and the Cortex record label as well. Yeah. That's another thing as well that I've got with one of my family members. Yeah. Okay, cool, man. That sounds really exciting. Things. That's really good to hear, man. Well, look, it's been good talking, man. Once again, I do want to say thank you for coming down to this and doing this. Thanks for having me, man. 100%. Yeah, of course, man. And we'll speak again soon. Definitely. Big up, man. Thank you. Yes, man. Love. Respect.